Welcome back to another episode of You Got a Friend in Me with your host, John Tran. Today's episode, we're going to have a quick update on my journey of Toastmasters. For those who don't know, Toastmasters is an international organization that improves public speaking and leadership. You go up on stage and you talk. There's evaluators in the audience and they tell you points of improvement and things you've done well. It's been about 4 or 5 months since I started Toastmasters, and the notion of standing in front of people to speak was just totally foreign to me. Before I started, I had no inclination to stand up in front of a stage and talk, but now that I have these skills, I can if I need to. If you want to improve your public speaking or your ability to get your ideas across, even to your colleague or workmates or your friends, this video is good for you. Here are a few lessons that I've learned through Toastmasters. Speech, content, and structure. The main ideas that I've gotten through Toastmasters is that you have to tell a story. So the human brain works in a very interesting way. Back in the caveman days, people would go out hunting and gathering, come back to the fireplace and they sit around and tell stories. If a hunter comes back and tells a story of how he saw a saber-toothed tiger standing in the distance and how his behaviors of standing still and lying down low in the grass kept him alive. The story sticks into the mind of the listener. Say you're sitting around the fire and you listen to this story. That story is ingrained into you, so the next time you see a saber-toothed tiger, you know what to do. That's how the mind works. It works in storytelling. It remembers stories very well. So it's the same thing with speeches. When you're preparing a speech, try to incorporate personal stories, because then the person will remember what you're saying. Before you start writing your structure and your speech out, have a rough idea what message you want the audience to get and retain, and what your primary objective is. Now in Toastmasters, you don't just learn the structure of a speech, you learn how to change your mental processes, because a lot of people who think about speaking in front of an audience, it elicits fear, anxiety. And in Toastmasters, you get to change this mentality from fear and anxiety to excitement and calmness. Anxiety and excitement are very similar. Anxiety, you get sweaty palms, your heart races a little bit, and you take shallow breaths and you feel a little bit restless and fidgety. Excitement is a similar thing. Your hands sweat, your heart races a bit faster, and your body feels a bit, excitable. A good mental shift as well to have. Before you go onto stage, you're gonna feel a bit anxious, and you may be worried that the audience may judge you or laugh at you. And a good lesson I've learned and practiced through Toastmasters is before you go on stage to present, you take a deep breath into your belly. The deep breath grounds you, for one, and also releases chemicals in your brain to tell you that the audience are safe, that they're friendly. This small change really impacts on how you deliver your content to the audience. Other things you learn through Toastmasters is your voice. Most people don't enjoy the sound of their own voice. Have you ever had that situation where you've recorded yourself, or you're recording a video and you're talking really loudly and you're like, oh my god, is that my voice? Do I sound like that? A lot of us don't like the sound of our own voice, but we don't really do anything to improve it too. But in Toastmasters, you stand in front of an audience and then they provide you points of improvement. So for me, I would kind of rush through and be very pressured in my speech. So they told me, just take a breath, slow it down, and say what you got to say and pause. Another concept that they work through in Toastmasters is to work through your ideas slowly. Because when you've written a speech, you know the content pretty well. And to you, you expect what to come next and you know the content. But to the audience, this is the first time they're hearing it. So you have to work through the concept slowly so then the audience can absorb the information. And another thing I've learned, which I still have to improve on, is my vocal variety. Changing the pitch and tone of my voice to make it sound more interesting. Now, I have to keep this all in mind and conscious when I present, and It is difficult, but the more I practice and keep it in mind, my speaking and my presentation skills would improve. And another thing I've learned in Toastmasters is my body language. For some reason, my body would lean to the side and stand really awkwardly when I present. They've encouraged me to stand, straight, firm, and plant my feet on the ground. Body movement is very distracting to the audience. So those are the few things I've learned through Toastmasters. You never know when you may need these skills. Hope you enjoy and stay tuned for the next episode. Bye.